Hey everyone. It's always so fun to be the first speaker right after lunch. You guys are not allowed to fall asleep on me. I mean, all the other speakers have been amazing, and I'm very, very honored to be here today to join you. As the voice over the airways said, I'm Michelle Avary. I'm Vice President of Government Affairs and Product Strategy at Einride. Will County, Illinois. It's southwest of Chicago, and it has seen more than 130% increase in freight employment in the last 10 years. It is absolutely booming. But with that economic success, unfortunately, comes a great cost. Will County is in the 98th percentile nationwide for PM 2.5 emissions. It's part of what is the so-called dirty dozen. These are counties in Illinois that rank in the top 10% nationally for diesel pollution. According to the Clean Air Task Force, diesel pollution in Will County carries an annualized economic cost of $250 million. Now, earlier this month, Einride and our customer partner, Maersk, we've been deploying trucks, the largest fleet of electric vehicle, heavy-duty trucks in the heart of Will County. There are 20 trucks in the first phase alone. These are zero-emission, Class 8 trucks providing clean freight solution. And this is exactly what we need. Einride was founded in 2016 with the aim to completely transform the shipping industry through digital, electric, and autonomous technologies. Our mission at Einride is to make the earth a better place through intelligent movement. We're doing this because we have to. It is an imperative to decarbonize shipping, which contributes 7% to global emissions. There's also market demand. More shipping companies are setting environmental sustainability goals. No matter what you hear about it here in Washington, it's actually happening in the marketplace. And these goals can only be achieved with electric trucks, autonomous electric trucks, and with the efficiencies that you can only get through digitalization. Now at Einride, we do not sell trucks. We operate trucks. And we sell the services that enable the transition to clean shipping. We provide charging infrastructure. We provide carrier partner services, those are your drivers, as well as the digitalization tools. And we are also piloting a fleet of autonomous heavy-duty electric trucks here in the US and also in Sweden. As you all know in this room, EVs have been very popular for policymakers around the world. Here in the US, President Biden has advanced the bipartisan infrastructure law and the Inflation Reduction Act, which we've heard a lot about recently. And these really important pieces of legislation will power that transition from fossil fuels to battery-powered vehicles. However, as we've also heard previously, there is one major sector that has not benefited from these investments as much as it should, and that's ours, heavy-duty trucking. Transportation is the largest contributor to carbon pollution in the United States, despite being less than 5% of the vehicles on the road. Now, we know that freight electrification is immediately attainable. Half the goods transported by trucks today travel within the functional range of electric trucks. So this is real. If anyone's saying it isn't, they're just wrong. The Biden administration and Congress can and they should make targeted investments to spur this adoption. And we have some very specific suggestions. First, as you've heard before on a previous panel earlier today, that NEVI programs should prioritize heavy-duty trucking. Current guidance is for building out passenger car networks and then addressing heavy-duty freight electrification. As a result, the state NEVI plans hardly mention freight. They hardly mention heavy-duty trucks. Now, we know we can do both. We can build out light passenger car charging networks and heavy-duty charging networks as well. Blocking heavy-duty electrification from progressing until passenger car industry is complete will mean continued reliance on diesel trucks. The second thing that can happen is purchase incentives need to become a national priority. The Inflation Reduction Act created a $40,000 clean commercial vehicle tax credit. It's great. It is a step in the right direction, but it does fall short in several critical ways. First, the fastest growing sector for freight electrification are startups. In the most radical shakeup of the trucking industry in decades, a handful of companies, like Einride, have launched trucking as a service. We offer a way to expedite electrification at a more competitive price than the direct ownership model. Our service is cost-effective and it's available today. We can bring trucks online up to 6 months faster than other ownership models. However, we're a startup. We don't have a lot of tax liabilities, and this tax credit is non-transferable. There are markets and ways to make tax credits transferable. We should be doing that. Second, even for firms that have large tax liabilities, $40,000 is not meaningful, not to close the gap and address the cost difference between a diesel truck and an electric truck at this time. To hasten zero freight transition, the federal government should develop a more substantive program for these incentive programs. They are usually valued at $150,000 to $200,000 and have a dramatic impact on the adoption of heavy-duty trucks. And it works, as we have seen in my home state of California. Now, there are a couple ways that you can bolster these incentive programs. The Inflation Reduction Act did create a $1 billion vehicle purchase program that's for Class 5, Class 6, 7, for school buses. Absolutely wonderful. Should be expanded to include Class 8 heavy-duty trucks. The federal government should also encourage states to use broad eligibility programs funded through the BIL and the IRA to create new purchase incentives. For example, the DOT's Carbon Emission Reduction Program and the EPA's Climate Pollution Reduction Program can each provide funding for these state vehicle purchase incentive programs. Lastly, the administration can focus on tightening the standards for truck emissions. The EPA has proposed to hasten the adoption of zero-emission trucks by scaling up emission standards for nitrous oxide and carbon dioxide. However, the trucking industry is working to oppose both standards, and they're lining up and they're funding groups to oppose strengthening pollution standards and rules for dirty trucks. Meanwhile, 17 states are following and have adopted California's Advanced Clean Truck Rules, which set minimum thresholds for the market share of zero-emission trucks. and we are expecting more states to join. That's the direction we need to be going in. The administration should absolutely use its regulatory authority to hold the industry accountable, maintain and strengthen emission standards. Now, as Joan Baez said, action is the antidote to despair. And I know there is a lot of despair when we start thinking about climate and climate change. Einride is absolutely taking decisive actions to make a substantive difference now. We could use additional specific help from the federal government, as I described, to decarbonize shipping. So thank you to SAFE for holding this event, for all the previous speakers, and for allowing Einride the opportunity to speak.